Hey everyone, Mark and Joey here on a Monday night. Joey, as we're always doing, this is our rewind show for the Ultimate Sports Channel. We'll mention ultimatesportschannel.com, which is our website, and a great place for you to go and see all sports stories that have happened on a daily basis. And we also have other podcasts that are not ours, and we have all the information you can read and watch. So head there every day, ultimatesportschannel.com. Also take a look at our sponsors. We have a special bonus. I'm not going to tell everybody what it is, but it's an amazing bonus we have. If you go to the sponsors page, you get some travel and some restaurants. I got a little bit of hint there. A big value that we can offer you for thanking you for watching the show. Of course, patreon.com is where we post all of our videos, and you can subscribe there for $5 a month and see all the videos that we have on a weekly basis on the Rewind Show. And Joey, we're going to go right to the NHL now, and we're going to start off with kind of a story that's building here in our local town, even though we're in Myrtle Beach right now for the winter, or at least next couple months before we go to Florida. Our hometown of Toronto, we got a real mess happening there. Coach that we signed for 10 years having all kinds of problems in the dressing room. The team's having all kinds of problems. What's going to happen with Babcock?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we address this every week because it's continuing. They've lost 4 in a row now.
Yeah.
They have not fixed the backup goalie situation. Calling up the guy from the AHL has not only a 1 start, but he got 6 goals. That really feels like they're trying to play their way to his firing in a way. I mean, they have not played well. I don't think they are looking to improve. He's betting on himself, but
Matthews has been very upfront.
Yeah, I think
very
they're out of it.
about it.
I don't really know what else to go with.
Yeah, and they lost Marner, which obviously doesn't help. One of the best young players in the league. I think Babcock's in real trouble. When they did have some stuff come out from Matthews and some of the other players, some of the older players came up about Babcock in his days in the Red Wings. And, where we really thought that he was an amazing coach. And he's done an amazing job here early on with this team. But, he may be just too old. He may just be too old school, I guess, to coach young guys who are making multi-millions of dollars and being told every day they're the best player in the league. And he can't seem to get it.
I still don't see him getting fired this year. I think there's a lot more issues with the Leafs than just the head coach right now. But I think obviously you're always the guy that's looked at, hey, if we're going to switch something up, it's not going to be treating your best players. It's going to be firing your coach if they have a problem with it.
And when they signed all these players during the offseason, you're thinking Stanley Cup. Right now we're thinking playoffs.
But they have no depth on the defensive end, and they're giving up a ton of goals right now. They've actually scored the second most in the league, but they've given up the most in the league.
Yeah.
So, they obviously have a big issue on the defensive side of the puck, and I don't know if it's going out and buying more defensemen, trading to get defensemen, or coaching on the defensive side. So, if I'm Babcock, I'm firing my defensive assistant coach there, saying, hey, it's not me.
Before I get fired.
You might as well take a chance. You might be able to turn something around on the defensive side of the puck. But I tell you something, they got to fix it fast. I mean, they got lots of the season left. They got to find a backup goalie, but lots of holes in this Leafs team that's expected to be quite an easy playoff team for starters, potential cup team.
Yeah, and surprising because they went out and thought they filled some holes on defense, and this has been worse than last year.
Yeah, they went out and got Tyson Barrie.
They obviously didn't do a very good job with this the rebuild on the defensive side. It's been really shocking how bad they are. And we're going to see we're watching. We just did our NFL show. We're watching the Kansas City team, and you got to think of Mahomes has got to do the same thing as the Leafs. He's got to score so many points every week for that weak defense, and that's what's happening with the Leafs as well. But it's going to be interesting to see this play out. I don't know if this skid continues. I don't know. I don't know if you can fire a coach who has a 10-year contract just publicly. It's just ridiculous. But you may have no choice here. You got your young players just paid millions and millions of dollars for those top 4 players.
I'll tell you this, the reason why I think you'll get fired is because the team looks like they're quitting. And that's a head coaching issue. There's one thing to just not being good enough with players, but to have players to see them quit throughout games, that's an issue.
And you see your team leader, even though he didn't get the captaincy this year, with Matthews calling him out. I mean, you never see that. Matthews, 21, 22 years old, and he's calling out Harold the coach.
He's calling out himself. He's actually never really directly called out Mike Babcock here, but he has been questionable about some of the decisions that are being made. But we'll see going forward. I think he's definitely the first to go of any, obviously, because there's not going to be a player that goes, there's not going to be a GM that goes, and if anyone's going to go, it's going to be Babcock. If by the All-Star break or even the new year, they're nowhere close to play.
No, they're not right now. So we're on the coach watch here, I'd say, here in Toronto, and then we've got another one here. He's been around for a while, but Corey Snyder was put on waivers, former Stanley Cup finalist, and they all get old.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not that old as a goalie. I mean, a lot of goalies in their early to mid 30s play. I think he's
the skill level's tough.
I think someone says he's 30, 31 or 32, and I think he could still play. I think it's someone maybe the Leafs should go look at. Obviously, he's had a tough stretch in New Jersey, but New Jersey's not a good team by any means.
Right.
Obviously, that doesn't help his situation. He did go to the Cup Finals way back in 2012 with Vancouver. Actually kicked Luongo basically out of Vancouver. It's funny how what happens in time, and now he's being kicked out of his third team now. I don't know what's going to happen to Corey Snyder. I brought it up. I think it's a guy that might fill a good hole for a veteran team right now. Maybe the Leafs has a backup situation. A couple other teams they could use a backup right now. Vegas could use a backup goalie. Along those lines of teams. So I just think it's an interesting thing. Obviously, I remember from back in those days when he was playing for the Cup with Vancouver, kicking Luongo out of Vancouver. So we'll see going forward what happens. I mean, goalie is a tough business. Only 60 in the league. Sorry, 2 per team. And he's one of those guys that's not in a great situation in New Jersey. Do people believe he has enough left to put him on a good team, or is he just done? And that's the question.
Well, a lot of guys at his age, you know what? I mean, in today's day and age of injuries, a lot of injuries with goalies. Former top goalies who can play a lot less games than they used to have to play can fit in that spot. We're seeing that where kind of the younger guys who don't have the pedigree that he does as backups are not being successful.
Yeah.
Some of the pedigree that's a guy like he has that he can play maybe 20 games in a season or something like that, maybe help out in the playoffs if needed. I think he should find a spot because of that, and we'll see what happens. I think a lot of teams can use that experience backing up their starter these days that are more injuries coming all the time to their goaltenders. So we'll see what happens. But a kind of a story which is unfortunate. But all these players go through it, man. If you last long enough, there's the day where you don't have the skill, and eventually you just go to the sidelines. So too bad there. Let's talk about guys who are on a run. San Jose winning 6 in a row. So this is a great position for them to be in, as we mentioned early in the season. But you can get a winning streak, you take it whenever it's hot. You've got to take it when you're hot.
The very beginning of the season, I mean, they were in last place. They got off to such a horrible start, and really were looking like a disaster team. I actually said that I didn't think they were going to rebound. I really didn't. They looked so out of it. Their goaltender, Martin Jones, was looking awful. It looked like he had lost his confidence. Not that he's been the main soul of this comeback. Obviously, part of it being the goalie. I think Patrick Marleau going back there was kind of, even though it might not be on the stat sheet, emotionally, he's obviously
some leadership.
Yeah, he's providing some. He's providing some there. I mean, he's obviously, maybe he's a missing link from the Leafs right now. He's just not, he has that leadership quality. He's been around the league for a while. In San Jose for all of his career up until coming to the Leafs, just for a little bit of a run. He's back there with all his friends. So I think he's filling a hole that he left when he opened up when he left, and now he's filling it coming back to the team, and he's leading that team. And I think the veterans are just playing better. I mean, they're an older version of the San Jose Sharks nowadays, with a few young guys sprinkled in there. But they definitely have like 3 of the oldest players in the league: Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, and Brent Burns is up there now. But lots of talent that, if this winning streak continues, obviously they're deadly thing in the playoffs. So
yeah, I think that they may be using a strategy that started last year in St. Louis. Start slow and build momentum as we go through.
Well, I tell you one thing.
So we'll see what happens there for sure.
Being their age, it probably just is hard to get going fast. Some of these guys out there. I mean, they got probably 2 oldest players I've ever seen play hockey at 40 and 42. Like, goddamn. So I think it maybe was just tough to get going for them. And now,
maybe it is.
Now they're awake and they're kind of playing a little better. They've won 6 in a row.
I know what it feels like to be old and try and get ready to go playing. Although I'm still kicking your ass right now in tennis, so I'm happy with that.
All right.
Anyway, let's. We got in the Leafs a little bit, losing 4 in a row. I don't think we need to go on that any further. But here's an interesting one: Arizona not letting up, and we did not think that at the start of the year. We really thought that would be a different season.
I was a little unsure of them on what they were going to do. I mean, they picked up Phil Kessel, which was an interesting pickup.
We love Phil Kessel.
We do, because I always feel like he's been trash, even though he's been successful virtually everywhere he's gone. He's obviously having a good season in Arizona. Not that he's like the second coming to McDavid over there, but he's doing enough. He's a veteran leader. The goaltender's really been amazing. Obviously, when you're doing as well as they are right now, they had a 2-0 lead tonight. I'm not sure how that game's going to finish. but obviously very impressive. They're really not letting up. I mean, they're second in the division. They're playing with a ton of confidence. They're young. They're good. They have a solid goaltender and 6'7" Darcy Kemper back there.
Nice to have that size in your net.
You know, how far can this go? I think it could be a playoff team down the road. I think it's definitely one issue that they might hang on to a wild card spot. I don't think they'll be where they are today, but they're definitely, I think, a playoff team based on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. It's not a team that's shocked by this. It's not a league that's shocked by it. And really, they seem pretty comfortable with what they're doing.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. I mean, we've talked about it's always tough to play in warm climates. A lot of teams struggle with that. They have the benefit of that, but they've really struggled on putting good teams together. That's good to see. You know, these markets that are soft for the NHL, it's good to have winning teams in there. You know, Tampa Bay's proven it that when you can win, you can get a lot of fans there, sell out. Love to see them do this. We always like to see all the hockey teams be healthy. Even Wayne Gretzky couldn't go in and solve that years ago when he tried to coach the team. So, they've been a long time waiting for teams that are really strong. Looking forward to it. Hope that continues this year. We'd be happy to see, again, another warm climate team doing well in the U.S. That points to the health of the NHL, which is
definitely
really
they need it badly out there.
Yeah, so looking forward to that continue, hopefully. And, wow. Now we kind of kicked these guys to the curb at the start of the year. Chicago, 4 in a row. Are they back to a playoff team? Can the old guys who led them to the Cups, can they do it again?
Well, I'm less confident in them than I am San Jose.
Yeah.
But we were calling for trades of Kane and Taves, and now they've won 4 in a row. For me, I think this team has to make the playoffs, though. Like, this isn't, come back, have a good year, and be okay, because it's not a young team. In my mind, you still got to make the playoffs, and they're not in a playoff position yet. As far as I'm concerned, if they're not in the playoffs at the end of this year, I don't care how well or how close they were. They got to get rid of some players.
Oh, for sure.
But they have won 4 in a row. Obviously, the older players know they got to get in the playoffs again. Otherwise, they obviously are smart enough to realize this could be a potential dismantle of the team. And, in Chicago, which, by the way, you want to talk about successful, they're the most successful team in the NHL as far as fans go, city goes. So that's not a concern there. But it's a concern from the fact of these players. I think Kane and Taves know that their era would be over if they can't get to the playoffs this would be a 3rd straight year if they miss. So they know they got to get there. And this, again, they've won 4, which is great. But this is not a season where they can finish just outside and be like, well, we're okay. Because it's not. They need to make it now. They got goalie out there, and Robert Leonard's playing pretty good. Corey Crawford is looking all right. If they can work together and split games and become hot at the right times, obviously they can do it. They got 2 of the best players in the league still, I think, at this point in their careers. But I think, again, it's not like other teams where Arizona, if they just miss, you're looking to the future. There's no future here. They got to get back in the mix.
The only reason they're getting there is getting old right now, so they have to make it happen. I think the management signaled last year, getting rid of the coach. I think that's a signal that we're going to revamp if we can't make it happen.
Right.
That was the one step they could take easily. I think that, Taves and Kane are harder to do. But if you go 3 years and not make the playoffs, I think every one of the fans there will say thank you very much for the Cups, but we have to retool.
The name of the game,
younger. That's how they won in the first place. They went younger, got these 2 superstars, and won a number of Cups with them. I think that's going to have to be the strategy. So I think it's on the old guys right now although it's hard to think you talk about Taves and Kane being old, but it's a fact of life, right? And so this is kind of the swan song for them. They've got to get out there. They've got to make it happen. So we'll see what happens with the Blackhawks. 4 in a row, though. They are putting an effort in there to try and get to that playoff spot. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks here. On the other side, one of our Canadian teams that, of course, we look as a real rival to Toronto back to the original 6 days. Those of you who haven't followed hockey as long as I have since back in the 60s, Canadians Leafs were always a great rival, and it's still there. When they come to Toronto or we go there, it's a massive game for both cities, but Canadians in trouble.
The Canadians are obviously in good position, so you might be confused by this, but Drouin's now been out, and they also have a defenseman who's going under knee surgery. So how long they'll be out, it's a bit of a miss right now. Obviously, they look like decent length injuries. So how long can they last? They got these guys having injuries. How long does Price last? He normally has an injury at some point that causes him to miss 20 games. Can they afford that, or can they stop him from doing that? Will his body hold up? So how long can they last? I think that they're not a playoff team still, even though they're showing some good form here early on. I think they will get rid of some injuries. I think Price will miss time, and if they cannot survive, which they have proven they have not in the past, they will miss the playoffs. Now, They are open to prove me wrong by simply covering that stretch of hockey. That's all they got to do.
But early
is cover that stretch of hockey
early
when
in
price
the
goes down.
They've shown early in the season success before. Matter of fact, being first in division a couple years ago and then not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of a tradition with them, like you say. With everybody healthy, they're good enough. But the minute guys start to fall by the wayside, they're not. And if price goes down at all, they're in massive trouble. So
yeah,
I think this is a big problem that they're facing with these injuries.
Yeah, I mean, they prove that every year when he goes down, they cannot maintain
Yeah.
any type of decent hockey. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the question. When that time comes, and it's come every year, so unless it doesn't all of a sudden, which would still shock me because he's going to play too many games probably, he still works too hard. I think, how do you handle that stretch?
Yeah.
But right now, obviously, two tough injuries on the defensive and offensive side of the puck for both of them. I'd say Max Domi has obviously sparked something there. It's now he's in his second year out there in Montreal, and maybe he can be enough. Maybe Shea Weber can be enough. But I tell you what, it doesn't mean anything to me until Price misses his typical 20 games to some knee or hip injury, and we see how they play.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what we're going to see. In the final story, Don Cherry, those of you who watch Canadian hockey, CBC Saturday nights, has been there, I think, 34 years, I think they said, in that role. Unfortunately, last week, made a mistake in some of the things that he said in a telecast, has been fired there. There's a lot of anger in the kind of thoughts about it. I guess it's the best way to say it. A lot of people on his side, a lot of people calling him out on it. He is kind of apologized. Is not happy that the channel has fired him and has spoken out about what was said. A sad situation for a guy who was an icon. I hate to see these kinds of things happen. Whether whoever's right or wrong, if you're an icon, I'd love to see you finish that way. It happened to Howard Cosell. We think we got issues today with what is said. Happened to him probably 40 years ago now, where he was taken off the air because of something he said, and it's unfortunate. And
I'll tell you what, at least we live in a world where I heard he's starting a podcast where he's going to get an hour to rant. So at the end of the day, you always feel kind of sad because legends are making a lot of mistakes these days because obviously it's such a different world than what they used to live in.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, a lot worse can happen in your life than something like this. You got a lot of support from a lot of people. Obviously, not enough to keep him on air. So he's not totally losing. He's not obviously winning either.
Yeah.
He kind of got abandoned by his friends, which is what I didn't like. Someone like Rob McLean, who's his partner on that show. If you watch Coach's Corner, it's a segment that is over after all these years in an unfortunate way. All this stuff, at the end of the day, I think he'll obviously be fine, but it's something that I think, we got to watch for with, unfortunately, old timers. They use that word, but that's what they are.
Yeah. And
maybe you should just make a switch earlier than later on some of these broadcasts. But he's going to get a show. He's going to get an hour to rant about whatever he wants. The true Don Cherry fans will listen up. And I think, hockey will move on. At the end of the day, what I noticed about everything in sports is it quickly goes away. You quickly forget it was even there. And unfortunately for him, it will be a week where people go, oh, where is it? Oh, it's not there. And you'll forget that it was supposed to be there after the
it's
first
just, what I was talking about is it's really unfortunate to see an icon like that not retire with ceremony.
He's never going to retire that way, though, because he's a great guy. He was always going to put out his opinion. You knew it was going to be something either...
He lived on the edge.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be something. He's either going to... I just don't know. I just don't feel like it was ever going to be simple for him because he's been that guy. I took a picture with him, by the way. He's awesome. Bobby Orr defended him. Everyone says he's a great guy. So at the end of the day, he knows who he is, and at least he stuck by what he said because he meant it. And at the end of the day, I just think there was no other way for him, a guy like him, who always lived on the edge anyway. Yeah. And at the end of the day,
it was probably going to happen.
It might work out for the best. He's going to get an hour. Like he even joked, saying, now I get an hour to say what I want to say.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I wanted to mention it because it is the end of an era.
Yeah.
Saturday nights for hockey in Canada has always been Don Cherry. Everybody's looked forward to it, and it's unfortunate, and really unfortunate the way it ended. So anyway, we're going to end the NHL show on that note, and we'll be back next Monday to talk about what's going on in the NHL as the season starts to get to where things are starting to form a little bit, and who might be doing well in the playoffs and all that. So we'll be covering it every week. We'll see you next Monday with the Weekly Rewind.